With Homer Smith. I'm your host, Ryan Ruff, joined as always by the star of our show, Mr. Homer Smith, private wealth advisor over at Convergent Wealth Partners. Homer, got a new episode today. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, really excited, Ryan. And before we get into the meat of the topic today, I just want to give a quick shout out. I know my wife and two daughters are watching while they're getting ready for school this morning. So just a good morning, and I love you guys.
Yeah, nice little morning content for them. So, hey, Homer, we got a great episode today lined up. You and I were just talking about it before we jumped on here. We've been kind of dancing around this topic for a few episodes here now, but we're really going to get into the meat and potatoes of it today, and that's the family. But before I get ahead of myself, let's take a step back. One of the biggest concerns that are facing affluent families today and how to really manage their wealth, so that it achieves many goals. There are a lot of concerns, I should say, from continuing to grow that wealth to making sure that it stays, it stays at a hefty amount so that it can be passed down from generations to come.
Yep.
You want to use that wealth to be able to position your family for their goals and to achieve the things they want to down the road. And then obviously there's the protection side of it. You want to make sure that it's not being taken unjustly or taken too much of in any way, shape, or form. But really, out of all of these goals, out of all of these things that face an affluent family and their wealth is the word family. It's right there in the middle of it. You often the best place to start with managing your wealth is to make sure that the family members are aligned and really on the same page when it comes to the key issues that are facing the wealth itself. So it's really what we're going to be diving into today is a family constitution and how it can be the best way to get this thorough process going. So Homer, let's get into it, man. In your experience, what kind of unique challenges arise when families with wealth attempt to kind of work together to manage their assets?
Yeah, and I think this is such an important topic, and I think we briefly touched on it in one of our previous videos, but in some research done by the Williams Group, what they found was 70% of wealth transfers fail to reach it past the second generation. And a lot of that is going to be solved by some of the topics we're going to talk about today. And so, affluence really can help families build some pretty amazing things and realize a shared vision, but it also can bring a lot of resentments and rifts among the family. And, there's the potential for it to severely damage the family's financial position. Anytime there's decisions that involve significant wealth, that involve multiple family members from multiple generations, the opportunities for this kind of conflict to arise is just really greatly magnified. And through my career, I've really seen both sides of it. I've worked with families that have this high level of trust and communication and the shared vision. And their concerns around the successful transition of wealth is pretty limited. However, I've also worked with families where there's significant disagreements and rifts between family members, and having any sort of meaningful conversation around the future of the family wealth is a huge challenge.
Right. So, Homer, in your experiences, are there any specific wealth-related issues that you tend to see popping up more than others among families with these, significant assets at their disposal?
Yeah, the biggest issue that I've seen is really around this idea of family harmony. And it's this lack of trust. It's this lack of communication among the family members that makes it really difficult to have any sort of effective conversation around wealth-related issues. So really having a process in place to focus on building that family harmony first is the key to successfully navigating multi-generational wealth.
Sure. Having family members that just aren't on the same page with one another are only going to generate, issues, divides between the family. And obviously that's going to create, a ripple effect moving forward, not only with the finances, but other family issues as well. Where most of us are in families, usually they're not always on the same page, but when it comes to wealth, we certainly want to make sure they are. So, hey, Homer, the next question for you. What can families do to make sure that they are maintaining a more harmonious relationship or harmonious situations where both their attitudes and their wealth, are aligned and everyone's working well together?
Yeah, we believe one of the ways families can help build and encourage family harmony is by considering putting together a formal family constitution. And a family constitution is going to help promote that trust and communication among the family and put things in place to try to reduce the conflict, as well as really lay out really what the family wants to do with their wealth over the long run.
So let me ask you this, Homer. How does a family constitution, promote better family relationships, like, the deeper level stuff? Yes, obviously a family constitution, as you just mentioned, it's going to set you up for everyone to be better aligned when it comes to the wealth management. But how do you see in other examples where a family constitution is helping to promote those better relationships, especially, yes, when it comes to the wealth?
I think it's really interesting, actually, that the ultimate outcome of a family constitution, which first and foremost is around building and encouraging this family harmony, is extremely aligned with our mission at Convergent, which has always started with quieting the noise. And it's, with wealth management, it's all the media and everything people are getting hit with every day. But with a family, it's all the issues that are going on within that family and really helping them focus on what's most important to them, the family mission and the family values. And by focusing on quieting that noise, helping them promote open communication and building that trust, as well as putting in things into the family constitution around how to deal with conflict, is really going to start the process of promoting that family harmony. And then
Well,
from
oh,
there,
sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
oh, no problem. It's all about living in alignment. And so now that we understand what the values are for that family, it's really then laying the groundwork for what are the goals and objectives for that family over time, and what are going to be the behaviors and the participation of each of the family members involved in making those decisions. So really, again, building around that family dynamics, that family communication. And then by doing that, it really opens up the amount of choices that not only the family has for how to navigate their wealth, but also creates lots of opportunities for the individual family members to grow and develop and create a bigger role within the family. And so all of those together really promote this family harmony that we believe is the key. It's the first and most important component to helping make sure that our families are in that percentage that actually successfully transitions that wealth over time.
It's sounding like to me it really plays this foundational role for establishing and preserving that harmonious relationship, yes, within the family itself and their relationships, but obviously the family's relationship to the wealth. So, Homer, this is all sounding great. It sounds like it's something that any family with significant assets, significant wealth should be considering doing. How would you go about it? How do you go about drafting a family constitution to make sure that everyone's aligned and you're taking the right steps to achieve the family's financial goals and aspirations?
Yeah, I actually believe, while I think it's extremely beneficial for families with significant wealth, I actually do believe this process could benefit any family. And really, it all starts with that family harmony. But once we've got that piece established, all the other components then are around managing for what to do with the family business or the family real estate portfolio and all the other investments that they might have. But it also establishes, how the family is going to make decisions. How are they going to spend the money? How are they going to invest it? How are they going to donate the money over time? How are people going to contribute and participate in the family constitution, the building of it and management of the wealth over time, and how is their input going to be delivered? What kind of role do they have in that? And then most importantly, how are they going to perpetuate this wealth for years to come? So all of those components are needing to be built in. It's not, again, the first part is really building that family harmony, but then you need to fill out the rest with all those other components. And really, there's three main pieces that we see that are a part of this. The first one is as simple as just defining who the family members are. And this is going to vary from family to family on who gets to participate. The second one is that key component of building out that mission and values of the family. And then the third component are all the pieces of how are we going to stay together as a family? How are we managing that wealth? And how are we going to deal with conflict, build trust, and build communication?
Homer, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a family that was, relatively small. I had a brother, mom, and dad. It was just the four of us. But there are families out there that are massive, 8, 9, 10 people involved in the family as a whole. So when you have a situation like that, maybe where there's a lot of different individuals involved in the family, so therefore there's a lot of different opinions on that could be factored into how the wealth is managed, so on and so forth. Who from a given family should be involved in discussing these issues and then creating and drafting that family constitution?
Yeah, this is really going to vary from family to family of who's involved. I've seen it be as open as, every family member, including married spouses and every kid and grandkid over the age of 16 get to participate and have a voice. And I've seen it be as limited as simply as the parents and kids that are over 16. So more just the close knit family. And what I've found is, or what I've sensed in working with these families over time, are those that have a higher level of family harmony established, where trust and communication are open. They're more likely to invite more members of the family into the process. And so, really, I think building that level of communication and trust is going to promote the ability to have more participants from the family have a voice in how that family constitution is created.
Makes total and clear sense. So when you're looking at the family constitution specifically, Homer, how formal is this constitution? Are these is this a legal document, or is it more so just kind of guidelines or recommendations?
Yeah, it's formal in the sense that it's a written document, but it's really, as you mentioned, it's more guidelines and prescriptions. It's not, in most cases at least, a legal document with legal requirements built in. It's really designed to be something that the family puts together as a group and commits to adhere to those principles over time.
You mentioned a key word that I want to ask you about: commits. What other advice might you give to a family or individuals of a given family to help ensure that the family constitution that they draft up remains relevant over time, and that everyone is adhering to these principles over time?
Yeah, a huge piece of this is to understand that this Constitution is a living document. It must be seen that way, and it's not a static one time, throw it in the cabinet or throw it in a drawer kind of a document. It needs to be able to evolve and change as the family evolves and changes. And to give you a quick example, if a younger member of the family ages and matures, the document has to be in a position to allow that person to have a higher level of participation over time. And having this flexibility built in is really going to be a key component to promoting that family harmony as situations evolve within the family.
Who can families really turn to with this, Homer? From the process of, yes, identifying the family's financial goals, and then to helping them draft this kind of document, then also helping them revisit the document down the road to make sure everybody is still adhering to this. Who can they turn to?
As we've talked about, oftentimes when families are beginning this process, there's a lot of conflict, resentment, rifts built in. And so navigating that can be a challenge. Also, for the most part, the matriarch and the patriarch are going to maintain kind of the final decision-making authority. But they do want to promote collaboration and get to consensus as much as possible. So oftentimes bringing in an outside facilitator to help walk the family through how to get to that point of open communication and trust is going to be critical. And there's going to be, sensitive differences among the family members, whether it's political, how to raise a family, all these issues that they're going to be navigating. And so having that objective third party be there to help deal with that conflict as it arises, and help really cool things off if needed in those meetings. And with that ultimate goal of getting to consensus, those types of people being brought in can be extremely helpful.
We've been talking about this family dynamic throughout a lot of our past episodes, whether it was through stress testing or the concept of liability insurance and where you need to make sure you're covered. Family always seems to come back into the fold when it comes to wealth management, because let's be honest, who's the wealth for? It's for the family. So in closing here today, Homer, could you sum up just kind of those key reasons that any affluent family today that is looking at their wealth, trying to, align their goals together, and realizing, yes, maybe the matriarch and patriarch are realizing that we don't have to just be the keeper of the keys. Maybe we can let some of the kids in on this. We can let family in on these decisions. Could you kind of bottom line those important processes for us, or the important reasons that somebody should be considering this family constitution?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to where we started in that study from the Williams Group that showed that 70% of wealth transfers don't make it past that second generation. So what's really important that comes out of this, the bottom line and the benefits of something like a family constitution, is first and foremost, it's going to promote that family harmony, build that trust, build that open communication among the families. And that's what that study found was the number one reason that the transfers weren't successful. The second part of it, I think one of the other big benefits is it's going to create an opportunity for the family to come together, and it's going to better prepare those heirs to receive that wealth in the future, because they're already participating in the decision-making process, whether it's the family business, the family real estate, or just the family wealth. And then the last component of it, it's going to really establish that mission and values for the family, so that everybody has that guiding light to go off of in terms of how they make decisions in the future. And then ultimately, if they do it correctly, it creates a flexible arrangement that this document and this process can evolve as the family evolves over time. So a well-written, well-established family constitution is going to help create all of those pieces and bring it all together.
Homer, we've hit the importance as well as just the general topic of stress testing, a decent amount throughout our shows. Do you ever find that when a family comes in and you guys are doing a stress test for a given family, that they already might have a family constitution of some capacity in play, or do you find even that when you're going through the stress testing process with families, do you bring up the idea of the family constitution during those discussions as well?
Yeah, I rarely see a formal family constitution. From family to family, I've definitely seen more families that are open to and already doing family meetings where they are at least promoting this open communication and trust building. But rarely have I seen it get to the point where they have more of a formal document in place that outlines kind of the future plan for the family. And so it's something that I've recognized as something that can be extremely valuable, and it's something that I'm really focused on with our clients that are in that situation going forward.
Sure. I mean, it'll only help to have a set of guidelines that are written down on an established document for everybody to be able to refer back to, adhere to over time, and really just position the family as a whole to make sure they're making the best decisions with their wealth collectively going forward. So, Homer, I think that's really going to do it today. Any final thoughts, on this family constitution?
No, I think we've hit the main ones. I think it's over the years, 20 years or so in this business, and working with families from every kind of area in from the wealth spectrum, business owners. This is an area that for me, especially in the last year or two, has become so much more important in recognizing how important the family dynamics and family harmony is in preserving this wealth over time. We can create all sorts of great tax structures and governance inside of their estate plan. But if we're not really dealing with these tough, thorny family issues and helping families navigate that, we're really not doing the full job that we have as wealth managers for our clients. So, I appreciate the opportunity to bring this topic really to light and spend so much time on it, because I do think this is something that is critically important for the things we do for our clients going forward.
Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, look, we're going to be back here again, new month, come April, and we're going to have a new complex financial topic to kind of dive into, and Homer and I will root through the weeds of it and bring really the essence of the topic to you guys. But for Homer Smith, I'm Ryan Ruff saying so long, and thanks again for joining us for another edition of Advance Your Wealth.